What's going on, guys? Happy New Year and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is a review of SteamWorld Build, which I was very kindly offered a key for to check it out, and I've been playing this over the holidays a little bit, so I thought I'd share my thoughts in a review for you on this game. Remember to give the video a thumbs up, drop a comment below, let me know what you think, and please consider subscribing. With that all out of the way, this is my review of SteamWorld Build. There's been a few entries into the SteamWorld franchise, and each time they're trying to tackle different genres, starting with a tower defense game on the DS way back in the day, and more recently with SteamWorld Dig and Heist, which are action, adventure, and turn-based respectively. SteamWorld Build is a city builder management game, which for me is close to Anno in terms of mechanics and how it works on the surface, but this game allows you to mine underground and manage those events as well, which certainly adds a unique spin to the genre. So let's start on the surface with the city building aspect. So there are 5 different starting maps, all of which can have the tutorial, story, and randomization of the mine switched on or off as you choose, and you can set your difficulty there as well. From what I saw, there wasn't much difference in terms of gameplay with the maps, just different locations to freshen things up for a future playthrough. Once you're in, there's a loose story and a tutorial which I'd recommend for your first playthrough, and it just walks you through the mechanics and the production chains, especially if you're new to this genre entirely. My only prior experience of this type of game was at Anno 1800, and for me it was remarkably similar in those foundational elements. You start off with your workers, create production chains and infrastructure around them to keep them happy, and then you can upgrade them to engineers, which in turn depletes the worker workforce and gives you engineers, kind of like cannibalizes each other. They pay more tax and they work higher spec jobs, they come with new needs and happiness requirements, so once those are all fulfilled, you can then upgrade them to the Aristobots and then eventually the scientists, which both of those also come with their own chains. They pay more tax as well, and you mainly just keep them happy. So you'll kind of have this pyramid of a load of workers, which are then in their original chains, then you'll upgrade the spare ones up into engineers, and then so on and so forth, and then you'll have your scientists, which you'll normally have the least of. And so while you're managing that, you're also then juggling your warehouses, the distance provided by the road networks, and dealing with choke points and your resources, of which there are many industries to choose from as well, some of them taking multiple resources into that one industry that then rolls into another industry, and so on and so forth. All of these then bring happiness to the different residents that help them level up, pay more tax, or maybe just max out the amount available in the house, for instance, as well. And in the center of your town, there's a train station that you can set up multiple trades to help bring in resources you're struggling with, or even offload and sell some surplus that you've gained as well. Cannot move the units. This isn't like Age of Empires. This is very much like Anno in gameplay style, with steampunk robots and western sci-fi that SteamWorld brings to the table. There's no other factions, so to speak, no multiplayer, there's no AI, so it's a very contained affair, which I will speak about more in a little bit. Where the game brings its unique spin on this genre though is the mining part. Your town will also have an abandoned mine shaft, and once you've repaired that, you can select it and seamlessly move underground into the mine shaft. It's a very smooth process, it works really well. On the keyboard it's just 1, 2, 3, and 4 to drop between the different levels and back to the surface. On controller, you hold the right bumper and you just move around with the D-pad. Works really seamlessly, and the game just does it instantly, which is really cool as well. Within the mine shaft, there's multiple levels, and they sort of act like a puzzle and seek exercise. You create the miners, prospectors, mechanics, and guards. They each have their own purpose. And then down here, you're then trying to find the resources, and you send those resources back above ground, which then help with the industries and stuff. Some of those resources can only be found in the mines, and likewise, as you build those resources up above, some of those will help you to build the infrastructure you need in the mines as well. So there's a nice little synergy going on between the two. All the units in the mines have their own duties and purpose, and they find gold, iron, scrap, water, oil, etc. And so some of that is crucial to your progression up on the surface. So within the mine, you select the blocks you want to mine, and providing you have the tools and the people available to do so, your miners will then come and mine out those blocks, find the treasure, resources, chests, switches, and so on. Switches help you to unlock doors hidden within the mine that then lead you to the ultimate goal, the rocket ship pieces, and further down the mine as well. Rocket ship pieces, at least for the story, are required to be found, and there's 6 of them that help you win the game. Once you found them all, you've then got to fuel the ship, and you launch the ship and go from there. If the story's turned off on the map selection when you start, you're just mining for the resources and exploration's sake. This is randomized by default, but you can turn that off so you can have a fixed layout should you wish. Creates an interesting harmony between the surface and the mines, as resources from both are relied upon for their coexistence, and it does really help that you can press the hotkeys and seamlessly transition across the surface and mining levels. I thought it might be a bit more complex than that, but they did a really good job of that. There are some monsters in the mines that you create the guards to protect and fight. That's their job, but it's all done automatically. Again, there's no combat and no real danger or loss. If the guards die to monsters, you can then have your mechanics kind of fix them and bring them back, because they're kind of all robots, aren't they? So there's no real lost state. The enemies down in the mines aren't going to start overrunning and killing all of your people and force you back up or anything. There's no last stand or any big things you need to do or worry about there with combat. You just keep going and you keep the production chains going, and eventually you'll finish it. This is probably my biggest problem with the game, despite it being nice and chill to play, is that it's just, where is the goal and the challenge per se? I say this because unlike Anno or other city builders or civs where you can have people unhappy and there's war or there's diplomacy and stuff like that, SteamWorld Build doesn't have any other nations or AI or any diplomacy or any problems there. So there's nothing in your way of the victory condition. You can just build a mine, and when you get to the end, that's it. I think it limits the replayability of this game for sure, because there's 5 maps, but other than the different layout and environments, there's no real reason to jump into each of them and replay it. It's the same experience which some people are going to love, and they can just design their own steampunk western cities, manage the population and resources without any stakes, but it is a finite experience. On the one hand, that's great in a world where games are live surface with battle passes and retention strategies, but $24.99 for maybe 10 hours of play, really, that's a value proposition you will have to do for yourself, I guess, to see if that's worth it for you. In terms of technical ability, it runs perfectly fine on my rig, although most things do. It has built-in controller support as multi-platform and works really well on the Steam Deck as well. It's a great little time waster in that regard. There's no online requirement, and it handles intuitively, which is the first for me playing these games with controller as well. So I've had a good mix of mouse and keyboard and the controls on the Steam Deck with this as well. Now, I'm someone who hasn't played the other SteamWorld games yet, despite being in my backlog for a while. I'm not sure if there's Easter eggs or extra little nods to the franchise here and there, but overall, I would recommend SteamWorld Build, but perhaps on a sale. I think for me at $24.99, that's in pounds, around say $30 perhaps. It just doesn't have enough replayability for me. I think, you know, as you get towards that 10-hour kind of mark, it's one of those things that, you know, you're just going to be starting to go through the motions and doing, it gets repetitive and formulaic. Like I said, that might be due to the lack of AI and competitive stuff I'm used to in the genre. So as I said, some people are going to love that they can just build and create their own town with very little risk or fear, because their only real enemy is themselves. They're going to make sure their mine is efficient, that the town is all linked efficiently, that you're leaving enough space for the upgrades and the scalability. So I can certainly see this being a fun game from that standpoint. This game by default is going to set you back 4 to 5 hours on one playthrough, maybe 6 to 7, depending on how you're picking up the systems and stuff like that. You may delve back into it for another look, but it depends if the gameplay loop holds for you. As I said already, it's simpler than Anno, but still holds some complexity. The story is one and done. The mines lose some of their purpose once the story is no longer required. It looks great. It runs great. I cannot fault it for that at all. The audio and music are really nice and well done. There's even voice acting and stuff like that within the story. There are some criticisms of the EULA initially. It was crossing some weird boundaries there, the little agreement when you first start up the game. But they fixed and patched that, so it's just a standard EULA now. If what you've seen and heard has piqued your interest, then this is a great starting point to see if you like games like Anno or even Dungeon Keeper. I think the mining is very similar to that in that regard, as this kind of mixes both of those games nicely together and rather simply, which is not a bad thing by any means. Your mileage may vary, but this game will then run its course, and for some people that'll be 1 or 2 playthroughs, for others that may be more. So anyway, that's all from me. I hope you found this review helpful. Please consider subscribing to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, it all helps the algorithm. I'll leave a link to the Steam page for this game, SteamWorld Build, in the description below. Let me know in the comments below what you think, if you've tried it already, or if it looks like your cup of tea. And if you've tried SteamWorld Dig or Heist, because I haven't tried either of those games, and they've been in my Steam library for a while now, so maybe we should check them out at some point. But that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.